When the follow-up to the world's second best-selling console dropped, I'm sure Nintendo expected almost nothing but success. When the 3DS released, Nintendo faced an immediate uphill battle. The 3DS wasn't selling amazingly, and the heavy price tag was probably the main reason for its slow adoption. Here in the States, the 3DS sold for $249.99, nearly the same cost of the Wii and the Xbox 360. Aside from its price, its launch was riddled with decent games, but nothing spectacular that was needed at release. Pilotwings Resort and Nintendogs were the launch titles from Nintendo. 3 months later, the price was slashed down to just $179.99, as well re-releases of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Star Fox 64 landed on the console. They increased sales, no doubt, but they weren't new, and they weren't Mario. Nintendo knew this, and a new Mario was coming. Super Mario 3D Land's development started in 2009. Because of the experience with Super Mario Galaxy, the team leading the helm for 3D Land specifically wanted to give 3D Mario a reset. With Super Mario 3D Land, it was to bridge the gap between 2D and 3D Mario fans. In an Iwata Asks discussion, they needed to nail the level design. They detailed strengths and weaknesses of both types of gameplay, and then it was decided to develop the stages straightforward, similar to the 2D Mario games, and somewhat open like the 3D Mario games. To make this merger, Mario's older titles such as Super Mario Bros. 3 and the newer titles such as Galaxy were key inspirations for level design. One of the biggest changes was the return of the flagpole finish. Having it as the goal made direction for the stage simple, and everything off its path was worthy of exploration for the additional collectible star coins. Launching in November 2011 worldwide, Mario glided into the 3DS, taking the best portions of both classic and 3D platforming. When you boot up the game, you're greeted to vibrant colors and open landscapes of the world, as well as a bubbly, upbeat, and jazzy theme song. Mario runs over grassy lands, bricks, and on top of enemies, showing you what may be in store for. Such a lighthearted, colorful impression is here to greet you. It invites you to dive into Mario's spectacular world. As the story may be all too familiar, Mario sets out to rescue Princess Peach. The gameplay and stages are far from that. Nintendo crafted what I believe to be the almost perfect line between new and old. The basis of the game uses elements from previous titles. It uses the same story and even uses the same 8-world mechanic. And to many, it seems like this would be just your standard Mario affair, but I believe its variety places it in its own realm. Every single stage is different and unique, and it's a great thing. Having stages also different makes it rewarding to see what's next. Nintendo tried left and right to explore all angles of the stages, because there were several bonus items and coins that they scattered about. It's a joy to explore the stages for everything that might be hiding. Regardless of the world's theming, the 4 to 5 stages all range in tone, atmosphere, and locations, aside from Bowser's airships. Let's look at an example. The opening stage for Super Mario 3D Land takes place outside of Princess Peach's castle, and as it's an opening stage, on display are multiple mechanics and routes with minimal enemies, all to ensure that no matter your skill, you can navigate without much difficulty. There are multiple routes to take, arrows guiding you along your path, and hidden extras to show you how tricky some can be later on. You have a grassy landscape with rivers and a small hidden section for a 1-up. Later on, there's a tightrope, binoculars, and a ginormous Goomba waiting for you. When jumping over 2 stages, there's a dramatic shift in the atmosphere and perspective. Here, Mario treks down a mountainous region towards the flagpole. You're given options for different routes to take. Some are easier, but the harder paths are faster and have flying enemies. They can net you some nice bonuses. At the leap of faith towards the end, the stage still gives you the ability to make your own decisions. As well, it tests your ability to platform in 3D, whether you jump on enemies or on platforms, or try to skip the section entirely with a well-timed jump and the use of the Tanuki suit. There's plenty on offer here. As a side note, this is one of my all-time favorite levels. Because of the layout, it leads perfect to speedrunning. Beyond these stages, some of the following stages have you scaling the side of the castle, running around in a 3D sandbox and sand of a desert, dodging spike rods as they shoot out at you. There's plenty. As I've explained before, stages are amazing and truly entertaining from the start to finish. The only negative that I could detail is it feels like the gameplay ends just a little too soon. Even with the stages spanning over 16 worlds, that's right, 16. It just lacks a little bit of difficulty, and because of that, it makes the game feel like it goes by a little quick. But at the same time, as they say, time flies when you're having fun, and that can't be any more true than with Super Mario 3D Land. Previous 3D Mario titles contained shines or stars as their end goal. These were given at the end of levels or for bonus explorations, but Nintendo wanted the levels of Super Mario 3D Land to be short enough to complete on a short train ride, because this was on a handheld after all. The collectible stars were altered to be star coins. 3 would be placed throughout each stage in slightly obscure locations to both promote exploration and allow for replayability. Outside of the standard stages are mystery box stages. These are small challenges. Whether you have to defeat enemies or collect coins, you only have about 10 to 15 seconds. When they are completed, you get a star coin, which you will want to get all of. Luckily, if you miss the goal on the challenge, you have the chance to bring them back with Street Pass. It's a cool feature and just another reason Nintendo should bring back Street Pass. But when you pass somebody, you get the mystery box to return and with different stages. As well, you can see your rival's time in any stage and then you can try to beat them. Just as the stages have familiar yet new feels, another staple returns: power-ups. All the standards return: the Super Mushroom, the Fire Flower, and Starman. Power-ups can be carried over to other stages and used at the touch of a screen on the bottom screen. Such an underrated feature, and it's super useful. A welcome returning power-up was that of the Tanuki suit. You can't fly, but you can glide, and its use can kind of either make or break the game for some people. Most stages are simplistic enough to allow the gliding to take out all the danger, but then there are some that even with the glide can still be tedious. I remember finding out that there were 2 additional power-up boxes after completing the game. When I thought I had seen everything the game had to offer, someone online found out that after 5 deaths on a normal stage, you're given an invincible Tanuki suit, taking all enemies out just by walking into them. You can't die unless you fall into a bottomless pit, and if somehow you manage to, you get another power-up in the option of the P-Wing. It's an item that lets you jump directly to the end of a level. For me personally, this is the most broken, but not only does it make the game super easy, it defeats the purpose of the level. I'm sure for some really young audiences it could be useful, but I imagine anybody over the age of about 7 should be able to platform to the end. And as this is on the 3DS, and it's even in the name Super Mario 3D Land, we've got to discuss the 3D support. This for many was the killer app for the system. Its 3D works to either pop or deepen the depth of the world. It has 2 types. In the same Iwata Asks interview, the developers detailed how they had to experience with the 3D. The more subdued version of 3D was the better version, but some detailed that they liked the pop of the Super 3D, and they left the options in for us to make that decision. The 3D is outstanding and really providing depth when traversing areas such as the mountainous region of World 1-3. The game even took a page from The Legend of Zelda with a completely top-down angle. Much like Link moving through different heights and levels from Triforce Heroes, I really like how the 3D adds to the game. It makes platforming easier and adds a sense of reality to each height. I always like seeing Mario jumping towards the screen. In multiple stages, warp pipes will take you to locations where 3D is nearly required. The stages are puzzle adjacent, and when you have the 3D turned all the way on, the difficulty is almost non-existent, but without it, you could find yourself stumbling for a few seconds, coming to grips with the puzzle presented in front of you. Across successful stages and 3D worlds, the game is tied nicely together by Mario's movement. His movement speed is perfect for the world he's in. His controls are tight and responsive. He has options for just a standard walking, running, or jumping, but now you can even roll. I didn't even realize this for years, and I struggled to figure out the controls once again. With such tight controls, it allows you to make split-second changes for recovery or additional distances. You always feel in control of Mario and his movements. The deaths you have never really feel unfair. Super Mario 3D Land is such a beautiful and whimsical mashup of experiences from previous Mario titles. With such unique level designs, the game always presents something new to you, grasping your attention throughout your journey. Its vibrant and ever-enjoyable world will have you craving for the chance to explore more stages like that. Super Mario 3D Land is overall a joy to experience. Regardless of its short runtime, every aspect is spectacular and leaving you with memories that you'll have for years after. It's a unique title that lives up to its legacy of previous 3D Mario titles and hopefully will be remembered for more than it has been so far. Thanks for watching, till next time.